Howdy, howdy!
Hello.
And welcome to the Extraterrestrial Alien UFO UAP Comedy Podcast, But It Was Aliens, where we look at cultural phenomenons of extraterrestrial activity and confirm for our listeners whether these files really were of extraterrestrial origin. This week, I'm your Captain of Curiosity, Kevin the Grey, and with me on the bench is Granville Moonwalker. What up, bench boy?
What? How am I on the bench?
Because you're backup.
I think you'll find starter. Number one on the draft sheet. Number one on the team sheet.
I'm the full frontal audio assault here, and your support cast.
Nah. I'm just letting you think that.
Bench
boy.
Are you hosting this week's? Stop yourself.
I can do. Might not be anything that you've written in your script, but
It's not a script, son. We ad-lib here.
I will free roll it. What have we got? Spaceships? Space invaders? Aliens? Let me know. I'll go.
I'm
ready to go.
We've got a shitstorm coming, son.
Ooh.
So today, we are off to, well, to be honest, Mooney, we are about to embark upon a globe-trotting crusade to determine whether the Earth really is hollow.
What? Who ever thought that the Earth was hollow?
This is actually really a popular theory out there. So, flat Earth is kind of one of the leading mental theories going around. Hollow Earth is the next one along.
Okay. You certainly touched on what it was. Mental.
Or is it? That's what they want you to think.
Mental. Go. Right now, the aim of this episode is to convince me that it's hollow.
Well, I don't really need to convince you. The government have already convinced you that it's filled. You need to convince yourself of the truth.
Yeah.
So, there is a lot to get through on this one.
I need to put this drink down.
I will be open and honest up front. This probe is going to be disorganised as shit. I completed phase 1, research, at 2:30 a.m. on 16 coffees. I then moved on to phase 2, and then phase 3 is recording this podcast. We are going to start in a not too distant past before moving back further in the past, then a little forward, then way, way, way back before finishing up with one Hollow Earth confirmed. Are you prepared?
My level of preparation is set. I'm ready for this shitstorm. I'm strapped in.
With your strap on? He's nodding. There it goes.
Totally wrong sound to make there. Right, I'm ready.
Right, we're going to make a start with Admiral Richard Byrd. That's B-Y-R-D.
Admirable
Admiral Byrd.
Admiral Dick-E-Byrd.
Have you heard the word about Admiral Byrd?
I'm not even going to go into it. All I'm picturing is Peter Griffin in my head right now. Carry on.
In 19...
The bird's the word! Apologies. Continue.
In 1964, Raymond W. Bernard published The Hollow Earth, the greatest geographical discovery made in history by Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
Dick-E-Byrd.
Oh, you stole my thunder, you prick. You wanker. So, by Admiral Richard E. Byrd in the mysterious Land Behind the Poles, the true origin of flying saucers. So you may wonder, who was Admiral Byrd? Firstly, let's look at that name. Admiral Richard E. Byrd. What's short for Richard? Dick. Thank you, Granville, you twat. So that's Admiral Dick-E-Byrd. That's a name you can get behind.
I'm not sure it is, but...
You can get behind it.
Dick-E-Byrd. What's he got to say on it?
And this is legit his name, by the way. I'm not making this up.
That's amazing.
Byrd flew to the North Pole in 1926 and to the South Pole from 1929 to 1956. He went back to Antarctica a few times, and yes, I will get onto that momentarily, so you don't need to ask me questions about the details just yet. So, to fully introduce him, Byrd was a member of the United States Navy and has been reported to have been a recipient of the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration in the USA. So Dick-E-Byrd was, and I'm saying this genuinely this time, an honourable man. I know this is like the boy who cried wolf, but literally this time I am being straight up. Medal of Honor.
Is the Purple Heart?
I'm not in the military.
Actually, no.
I'm above the military.
Because I think the Purple Heart is for one specific act
of bravery.
You can get that for that. Whereas the Medal of Honor may be for a career's worth.
We are no longer part of the system. We're above the system.
I still don't know, so... So he's been to both poles. Mm-hmm. He loves a pole.
Does Dick-E-Byrd love a pole? Yes, he does.
Right, so Dick-E-Byrd.
Mm-hmm.
What else has he got to say for himself?
You want to get into it?
Let's get into it.
Let's get inside Dick-E-Byrd. I've got a lot to cover, so I'm not going to piss about today.
The bird's the word.
In Bird's the Word's secret diary, which was kept from the public by the government until surfacing in 1996, and that's true too, there were erased but still legible sentences which conflicted the official report released via the National Geographic Society about the 1926 Arctic expedition. This raises some controversy around whether he reached the North Pole. Later in his diary, though, Byrd confirms that in February 1947 he entered the hollow earth and travelled over many miles of mountains, rivers, greenery, and saw animal life. Eventually, inside the earth, he found cities. He found Agartha.
Agartha?
Agartha. Have you heard of Agartha?
Can't say I have.
Excellent.
I was about to say, did he just walk into a massive cave which had its own like mini ecosystem in it? But the fact that he said he found cities kind of knocks that on the head.
Agartha is like a legendary olden kingdom in Tibet that's at the centre of the earth, and it's inhabited by like demons and asuras, demons, like mythological. Indeed. So Byrd's plane was commandeered and landed by this civilization mid-flight. Byrd saw flying saucers, the ancient yet advanced alien-like civilization, who, by the way, looked to be Nordics, warned Byrd about humankind's usage of atomic weapons, and Byrd took this message back to the government. Think this sounds a little bonkers? Well, Byrd was a member of the military Operation High Jump in the Antarctica. Do you remember our Nazi file? I think it was it episode
Is this
9,
the one where they
7?
found the skulls in the...
That episode, yeah. But if you remember, the Nazis made an expedition.
Yes, they did.
So this was the operation where the USA sent 4,000 members of the military to get the Nazis' secret base, and there are reports of giants and a civilization inside the earth.
The one where we said, maybe they were paranoid.
Yeah.
That they would get something first.
So that links directly into this story. Byrd was on that expedition. Remember, America established a military presence on Antarctica in the late 40s, but today people are prohibited from travelling into and over Antarctica. There is an international treaty signed by pretty much every country in the world capable of going there. That's about 54 countries.
Why?
Because of the giants and the entrance into the Hollow Earth.
Oh no, that's... Why would you not be able to go there? Like, I know you just said because it's giants and because of
Are you trying to think of a
legitimate
logical
reason, yeah, why you... But
See, I feel like if I give you one, because I can think of one, but if I give you it, I'm shitting in my own punch bowl.
Don't worry. You can tell me at the end then, if I don't think of it. But that's, yeah, not every country, but 54 countries have signed a treaty to say that they will not go to Antarctica. Oh, that's weird.
And mess with it.
That
yeah.
is weird.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say Byrd wasn't working with the Nazis because it was the 4,000 troops
the
sent
Americans.
to beat.
Yeah.
So if he saw flying saucers,
Yep. And I realise I've gone like 1,000 miles per hour into
it's
this.
fine. Is it possible that they either... I wouldn't say they came. So we've just... I could see something moving in the reflection of my laptop and turned, and there's a giant seagull outside the window. What I was going to say is maybe there is a beacon or something there. So when alien ships come to Earth, they're looking to find this spot, but maybe their navigation is off. Because obviously if no one's over Antarctica, you can't say that maybe saucers are flying there all the time. We just don't know.
Maybe. Who says they're flying to there?
Ooh. What if from there?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Dick-E-Bird's on the one here, isn't
So
he?
remember, he's saying he flew into an area and his plane was commandeered by this civilization.
If he doesn't fly this plane back out and call him bullshit on Dick-E-Bird.
So in his
Unless they stole
descriptions, Byrd even said that there was a sun inside the centre of the Earth and would state that the poles were only two of many entrances to the Hollow Earth. There is a story out there that Byrd decided to go public with his story alongside Admiral Forrestal, who you may recognise as a founding member of the Majestic 12. Oh yes, son. Unfortunately, Admiral Forrestal was assassinated.
What?
Meanwhile, Byrd was also dying within weeks of hatching this plan, and Byrd's diary was discovered and released well after his passing, unfortunately. There are stories out there claiming that legislation was therefore written to stop more people discovering the Hollow Earth. Interestingly, it is these days required to have a federal cave permit to explore any cave with a natural opening into the Earth. Federal. Meanwhile, whilst Byrd never got the chance to go public, he did drop hints in interviews. For example, he once explained that the USA should prepare for the possibility of hostile crafts coming from the polar regions.
Okay. Can you remember at the start when I said that this was bullshit?
Yeah.
Might be a little bit on board. Ooh, so the founding member of the Majestic 12
there's a fair few legitimate people
was
involved in all this.
assassinated.
And yep. Wanted to come public. Boom. Dead.
So Byrd was dying whilst hatching the plan. Was he poisoned or was he
He started dying straight after hatching said plan.
Oh, this gets weirder and weirder. You need a federal... Okay, I can understand slightly... No, I can't. I was about to say, maybe if people were just going into caves and starting to hack away, they could cause...
Damage and kill themselves?
cave-ins that would then disrupt the stability of other parts of the world. Well, not other parts of the world, but parts of that country. Maybe there's like a legitimate, ridiculous amount of diamonds under there that the government don't want them to have, because then people will just get super rich. Or could be hollow earth theory. And Dick-E-Bird was right. And these
little Dick-E-Byrd
federal bastards are trying to keep it quiet. Oh, that's mental.
Yeah. And as I said to you, we're going to dot around a fair bit. But this is sort of where I want to fall back on.
Okay.
Because there's really some quite legitimate information.
I mean, the fact that someone from the Majestic 12 has been assassinated, that's big.
So before we move on, here's a little ancient alien footage for you. Episode 6 of Season 10, courtesy of History. This will summarise Byrd for you, and I'll link this YouTube video in the show notes.
Boom. Boom.
Hi, I'm Brad Callen, and in this video,
Goddamn adverts.
Frickin' adverts.
Ideas of an occupied hollow Earth would be revisited nearly 2 centuries later in 1947, when famous polar explorer Admiral Richard Byrd flew reconnaissance missions
he is a
over
real
the
person.
North Pole.
That's Dick-E-Byrd.
Byrd allegedly
Dick-E-Byrd.
reported in his private journal about a mysterious land beyond the North Pole, which he called the center of the great unknown.
Admiral Richard Byrd was able to fly to the North Pole and back and recorded flying over lush green areas where none should have been. And then 3 years later, he flew over the South Pole.
it's rumored that when Admiral Byrd's task force actually got to Antarctica,
The fact that you're not allowed to fly over there now is so weird.
into a hollow Earth civilization that was populated by very, very advanced beings.
Admiral Byrd made a lot of unusual statements, including talking about what he called a new kind of craft that could fly from pole to pole. And when Byrd got back to the United States, he was brought back to Washington, where he was questioned very heavily about his statements. And allegedly he was told to stop talking about this.
Is it
I was about to say, he's not going
possible that
mental, is he?
entrances to another world can be found at the Earth's poles? And if so, did Admiral Byrd actually pass through one of them?
Did he?
According to some ancient astronaut theorists, some
Pass through a hole.
gateways do exist.
If we were to discover the other Earth, the place we have sought, the missing world, it would be profoundly humbling. So this would be quite a paradigm shift. History would change in a very major way.
So you now have heard the word about the bird.
So if there was another, it would be another whole. Is it another world inside, or another city?
Well, I guess thinking about it, you'd probably be looking at an ancient civilization. So imagine, as an example, ancient Egypt with several cities.
So if they come out with a look, we live here, you leave us alone. We will not unleash our armies and completely destroy you. Hence, therefore, why some UFOs are just like, just leave it. Like they don't want that problem. Like maybe.
So are you thinking that there is a civilization of humans in there, or are you thinking it's another civilization?
Another civilization.
Okay.
And the UFOs that we're seeing around the world are theirs. And I wouldn't say they're necessarily checking up. They're literally, I wouldn't say scouting either. But they are like having a look.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is such a mindfuck.
So in the late 1600s, the somewhat modern theory of Hollow Earth was put forward by British astronomer Edmund Halley, who was trying to explain why compass readings can seem peculiar. This is the chap who discovered Halley's Comet. I won't get too deep, suffice to say that he thought the northern lights, or aurora, were caused by gases escaping from the inner hollow Earth. I'm not saying this theory was fully formed, so much as evidencing that this isn't just a modern idea.
I hadn't thought of that. What's the explanation for the aurora lights?
Magnetism. We've got a magnetic shield and it's particles from the sun and from space hitting it and lighting up.
But we only see it in that one location.
Yeah.
God damn it, I'm more on board with this than I expected to be. So did he come up with that theory about the gases escaping?
Haley. Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't know where I stand. And we're not even like at the end. Kev, just carry on.
So-
I need more! I need more!
Moving on to the 1800s, Cleves Sims Jr. and Jeremiah N. Reynolds adapted hollow earth theories, coming up with the concept of blowholes existing at the poles. These guys campaigned for an expedition to the poles to prove their theory, and this was actually stopped by President Andrew Jackson. Already, we are seeing government intervention to keep people away from the poles. Suspicious, isn't it?
Very, considering you would think they'd be like, yeah, just go and have a look. Test your theory. I mean, human exploration was massive. Go have a look, see what you can find, see what new things
Bring us
we
back
can
riches.
figure out, see what more we can uncover, what we know.
So yeah,
Don't know.
go forth into
they're
the world,
just like,
bring us
nope,
back riches.
you,
Don't go to the poles.
You are not going over there. Fudge sake. Suspicious. Suspicious.
Now, admittedly, this hollow earth theory was disproven by Pierre Bouguer in 1740 and somewhat more definitively disproven around 1774 by Charles Hutton, who developed an experiment to determine the mean density of the Earth via gravitational attraction upon a pendulum near a mountain. There was also a fictional book called A Journey to the Earth's Interior in 1913, or Journey to the Centre of the Earth in 1864, which definitely didn't inspire any future stories. So I'm not saying these older theories were accurate per se, but what if we look back? Way back.
Back into time. Oh, so we've had people come out and scientifically try to disprove this.
Yeah, basically
And-
saying that the mean density of the Earth has to be too much to suggest it's hollow.
Yeah. And they seem to have done that.
Or does it though? Who's to say that we couldn't have more dense materials inside the Earth is probably the other side to that.
It's also there to say who's to say these weren't working for the government.
Or that, yes.
Okay. I'm leaning one way, but with more evidence, I could swing the other. I'm not going to say where I am. I'm just going to let you continue.
So there are several ancient theories of a hollow Earth. Firstly, let's look at Nordic dark elves.
What?
Dark elves, or Dokkulfar, were said to dwell within the Earth. Here's a couple of pictures of them.
I was on board to a point. Like, this could be real. I'm just looking for scientific evidence to say the other. And what Kevin has presented to me is... Oh, what's he from? It's a picture of an elf with long white hair and a blue robe. Mm-hmm. He's from a film or a video game, but I cannot think for the life of me the title. Oh, that's going to bug me. Oh, is that Hellboy 2?
I honestly can't even remember. I got these so long ago.
Okay, and the second one is a 3D image of, I want to say, a guy in a mask fucking a dark elf. Nice work, Kev. Nice work.
So they look Nordic, right?
No.
So they have a light elf counterpart, and it's thought that they are inspired by Christian tales of good versus evil. On that note, Christian theology has a concept of hell. Hell is an underworld. The earth would have to be hollow for hell to exist, unless it exists in a different dimension we can't yet access. Looking at other religions, some folks believe ancient Hindu and Celtic lore are connected through some ancient lost city. Interestingly, both cultures have a similar theory of the Hollow Earth. The Hindu outlines an underworld with its own king, which I suppose is also similar to the idea of hell and Lucifer. Some tribes of India claim that their ancestors emerged from a land inside the earth. Other tribes, such as the Taino in Cuba, hold similar beliefs. Meanwhile, the Celtic gate to hell is the exact spot where Halloween was born, whereby the Celts believed that monsters and spirits passed through into the land of the living on Halloween. Then there's the Tibetan Buddhist story of Shambhala, an ancient city inside Earth similar to the idea of Agartha. The Dalai Lama believes only those of pure mind may visit.
I think that's one of the main places in the storyline to one of the Uncharted games. Great series if you have a PS4. Go and get it.
The Hebrew Bible, Sheol, also knew the underworld as Hades, as did the Greeks. Speaking of the Greeks, ancient Greeks believed underground caverns led to entrances to this underworld. Going back to Ireland, medieval knights, including Owen the Knight,
He's not a nugget.
journeyed to Station Island, County Donegal, and crusaded into purgatory through a cave, sometimes mentioned as a pit or a well. This story is mentioned in several medieval texts. I haven't gone into too much depth on those, as each one could be a false probe in its own right, but suffice to say, how have so many cultures all over the world throughout history come up with basically the same notion of a hollow earth?
Oh, that's so weird. I've never thought of hell being on Earth.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've always thought of it as another dimension.
Okay.
But the more you speak about the other religions and stuff, I always remember when you see, like in Greek, I wouldn't say films, but stories that depict Greek mythology, you always see them walking like down the steps and through a cave
Yeah.
to speak to Hades.
Or going into a cave and then there's the river with the boatman, the ferryman.
Yes, the ferryman. Oh, what's his name?
Jeff.
My name is Jeff. Oh, I can't remember his name.
But yeah, there's so many cultures all around the world, all throughout history, all coming up with the same idea independently of each other.
I think because I know in Vikings, I think I wouldn't say just call him the ferryman. He does have a name,
Yeah.
but for the life of me, I can't remember it. Oh, this is so fucking trippy.
So I mentioned my 18 coffees at the witching hour researching this one, didn't I? In my notes, I've written that elders, otherwise known as ancient aliens, crashed to Earth and left robots inside the Earth. Eventually they left, but the robots were left behind and in time became good and bad. Bad robots like to torture people. I'm not sure if that is actually a Hollow Earth theory I found, or whether I fell asleep and dreamed about Transformers mixed with the newer War of the Worlds. I just wanted to throw that out there to see if you'd be on board with it, really. Because at this point, I feel like I'm struggling a little bit, and I'll take it.
Transformers, eh?
I was researching this one so late at night whilst I was on annual leave.
Did you fall asleep with the...
I don't know what happened.
I can't remember the title of it. It's the one with Mark Wahlberg where Merlin was in it and they left a giant transformer to help win some war.
Yeah.
Maybe you were watching that.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't really remember it.
So they left robots. Were they like T-800s?
Terminators. But yeah, I can remember
Skynet.
reading back my notes and seeing that, and I was like, where did I get that from? And I tried to look for it, and I just couldn't find it. But I know that I wrote it down from somewhere. No late night research. It's bad for y'all.
Okay. So we've got Transformers. Holes in the earth.
Yeah.
Hollow Earth theory. This Hollow Earth theory is fucking weird.
There's lots of different elements to it, and I think some are a lot more convincing than others.
As a whole, I would say no. This is mental, and common sense is telling me to say that this is mental. But there are tiny bits that are just like, that's far too weird.
The stuff I dropped at the start about the people involved and whatnot, and it legitimately being
like the government
prohibited.
not allowing you to go there. Like, there's got to be a reason for you not to be able to go there. Or what if they've left something there? Like, not necessarily Hollow Earth. They left, or they have some kind of secret weapon there and they don't want people to go and find it.
So I want you to keep that good information to one side, keep the strange information to the other side, because I'm about to get onto the strange information a bit further.
Okay.
We do know there are giant caves and caverns all over the world. Is it possible these link? That idea...
like a tunnel system.
Yep. So that idea gets even crazier. Did you know that Bigfoot themselves are linked to ancient underground tunnels? It's thought that this is how they keep away from the sight of man, generally speaking.
This makes sense. I'm in. I'm in. Bigfoots, Big Feet, whatever you want to call them, Sasquatch.
That's the idea. They are from another society or something.
That's how they get spotted in all these different places.
They rarely come up above ground.
They are tunnel travelling. Tunnel travellers.
So let's get back to legit conspiracy evidence. NASA images of the North Pole show blacked out areas and regularly get deleted. But 1968 satellite scans show a large black, what appears to be a hole directly over the pole, and this one got out before it could be contained. Take a look at these genuine NASA images, which NASA regularly try to wipe. So in these images, if you'd like to look at the North Pole.
Yeah, that you can clearly see it there. Like a massive crater. Okay, that's definitely in the same spot.
And that shit ain't on the globes that I see. When I used to go to school, there weren't no hole in that globe.
I can't remember seeing one, like, it's not something I look at regularly. Do you have one that's up to date?
What, a globe?
No, just a picture of the Earth.
Not on me, but you can stick it in Google.
Picture of the Earth from space. That massive crater is removed from these pictures.
Yep.
Oh, God damn it. Yep, every single one, if you click it, there is no giant hole there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm intrigued even further.
So, obviously, this theory is in parts outrageous, and contrary evidence out there includes seismic waves. How do plate tectonics occur if the Earth is hollow? Haley did suggest that there were something like 3 shells inside the Earth, so all separate areas could be rotating different ways, I guess, but yeah, that is a little bit of a tough one. Meanwhile, gravity.
Earthquakes.
So under our traditional way of thinking, we can explain them. If we're saying that there's a hollowed out area in the Earth, how do we explain them?
Unless it's layered.
Could be layered.
So you have another layer, obviously, below the tectonic plates.
Potentially.
Or
like we said, this one is the suggestion of the 3 shells being inside, so they could still grind against each other, I guess.
This makes more sense than I'm willing to admit.
But here's my coup de grace, son. I'm on the top rope, and I'm about to jump on your ass feet first.
Not my ass!
So we, on Earth, drill. The deepest drilling hole presently is about 7.5 miles and was led by the Russians. This drilling actually disproved some of our scientific theories about the solid Earth. For example, a layer of basalt believed to be there was completely missing. Meanwhile, water was found where it should not have been under our current understanding. So essentially, we don't actually know for definite what is down there. We had to stop before 8 miles deep as it got too hot. So what we do know, we don't actually know.
They say the Earth's core is hot and that there's lava and stuff. You know. What if that's not actually lava?
Yeah.
And
What
it
if
was
that's
the
that inner sun?
Yeah.
Should I summarise?
I think you should. F this, man. I was so ready to shit all over this probe at the start. Now I'm confused.
So to summarise, the Hollow Earth is filled with giants, Nazis, prehistoric creatures, and green grass. Dick-E-Byrd flew through holes in the poles and discovered Agatha, whom warned him about atomic weapons. A treaty was subsequently signed banning activity in Antarctica. Halley's theory of several Earth cores, like a Chinese doll. So you take off the top layer and there's another one. Is it Chinese
They're
dolls?
Russian dolls.
Russian dolls. I know what I mean. Like I said, 18 coffees.
Barely any sleep.
So the original theory of Hollow Earth was slightly disproven, but there are so many ancient religions and civilizations ranging from the Celts, Hindu, Hebrew, Buddhist, Christian, Rasputin's dick, Norse mythology, the list goes on, all believing in a Hollow Earth. That's got to come from somewhere, hasn't it? Oh, and by the way, did I mention Byrd was a Freemason and in fact became a Master Mason? Our scientific theories of what is below the ground have already been proven wrong. What are your final thoughts?
So he was a Freemason.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know whether to believe this prick now. It's Dick-E-Byrd.
Because he's a Freemason. Supposedly, the Freemasons know information that's not available to the wider public.
Yeah, but then aren't they also out there to try and control the world?
Yeah,
So could be out there just to keep us away from something.
but he didn't go public with this to begin with, and then when he was going to, he was killed.
Oh, that's true. Ah, that is true. Okay. It's even worse. Like I said, I was ready to shit on this from the start.
Yep. Pants were down around your ankles.
I was ready to squat and drop. But now I've stood back up. Trousers are up. Boat is done. Okay, I'm not saying this was aliens.
But
It is very, very interesting.
you love a conspiracy theory.
I really do. But then they're only called conspiracy theories to make people seem crazy. So it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a theory. Fuck.
You want to say it, don't you?
It's not aliens. It's not aliens. It's not aliens. It's not aliens. This is possibly a science fiction story that has been, I wouldn't say blown out of proportion, but blown out of proportion. And they've taken theories from other things to come up with this story to make it seem much more legit. So for me, this is a story and it's not aliens, but I am very happy to be proven wrong. Like if someone comes to me with more evidence and actually shows me, then yeah, I'm in.
So,
It's not aliens and you're a bitch.
so I'm not saying that it was aliens. Full stop.
You even had me on the edge. And I was like, where are you going?
So this file was one of our deeper dive episodes onto a wider topic, and to be honest, I'm surprised how deep you got into this, because I just couldn't get as into it writing it as I have on the ones about like Hitler and the moon and the pyramid. Oh, you don't know about the pyramids one yet. But yeah, this one just didn't tickle my own balls in quite the same way. It's certainly interesting how so many religions have the same idea, but then if humans all came from the same place, who's to say the basis of these stories didn't come from the same place for all of us, and then was added to as we developed? Or maybe aliens told us. Shit, I don't know. I was tired. Don't research late at night.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you said, the basis of this could have come from the same place.
Certainly in terms of all the religions and stuff. I did find it really peculiar about the drilling, which didn't seem to strike you in quite the same way, actually. But the fact that we have really good models of what should be under us, and this drilling has completely disproven them, basically.
But then maybe we just got the depth wrong.
How do you mean?
We had this model of what is under us, but say they got to 8 foot, and what should have been there isn't actually there, it's further down than they thought.
Then what's further down would need to be at lighter densities, potentially, though. It would be all sorts of impacts from that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I know the answer, I'm just saying it wouldn't be as easily explainable as it's further down, because that then has a knock-on effect on everything else we think.
But then maybe we were just wrong in the first place.
Maybe it's real. There's dinosaurs down there, and giants, and Nazis, apparently.
Living with giants and T-Rexes.
But yeah, it is interesting, isn't it, how there were some really legitimate folks linked to this.
We definitely need to probe the Majestic 12 at some point.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how we do that, because we also want to probe the Men in Black, and I feel like there's going to be some crossover.
Yeah. I suppose if one of us done Men in Black.
But then what if we're covering the same things?
Yeah. We'll find a way.
I guess we need to do one before we plan to do the other.
We shall find a way.
Right, so that's the Hollow Earth cracked. Thank you for listening to this week's Y-File on But It Was Aliens. We've been out a little while now, and we are gradually picking up steam. So if you've got any ideas on ways you'd like to see us expand, perhaps, do let us know. We make this for you and are open to your suggestions. But for now, if you'd like to give us a little probe, you can find us on the Twitter. At But It Was Aliens. And we are on Instagram at But It Was Aliens Podcast. If you look like an alien, I'm gonna probe you. But until then, if you're going about your life and you feel a little doubt, what you gonna do? Remember, the truth is up there. All you need to do is a little hashtag